spells trouble. Sheed, and we know how good that left foot is. Have a look at that ball. Dom Sheed, take a bow.
The superstars of Port Adelaide coming together. Robbie Gray over the top. Dixon from the pocket.
Hello, I'm Damien Barrett. Welcome to Access All Areas, brought to you by Sportsbet. We are now 12 days through the AFL's 20 straight days of football, and the big teams are starting to flex their muscle. Matthew Lloyd.
They are, Damo, and it's three interstate teams who I think are starting to get through this competition and say, how can we beat them? And I think they're going to get some massive advantage on their home states and their home decks. And the first one is the West Coast Eagles. And I know it wasn't a perfect performance yesterday, Damo, but they find a way, and they've got big-time players. Look at Josh Kennedy, Dom Sheed's back to his best, Luke Shuey, Nick Naitanui, Tim Kelly. The list goes on and on. They're a big-time club there.
I really like this performance, Lordo. This Port Adelaide win against Richmond. I thought it was their performance of the year. It was certainly the game of the year. And that man there, Robbie Gray, was crucial to it, as was Charlie Dixon, as was Trav Boak.
And this team, the Brisbane Lions, I think they have the deepest midfield in the game, so it's super. Harris Andrews is leading his defence as good as they can. Get this front third right, and they are capable of winning finals this year.
You've still got concerns about that
Yeah,
Lions
that's still what's holding him back from really jumping into them.
We've taken this ladder down to 11th, Lordy. Outside of those names on screen, you've got Carlton, Gold Coast, Hawthorn, who would all be thinking they are still part of the potential finals mix. Of the 8 at the moment, who's most vulnerable?
Yeah, I just think that I love the top 6. I think they are really safe. The Giants still, they're just scrapping wins. The Magpies are the most vulnerable. And I think the Demons and the Magpies play each other very, very soon in the next week or so. And I think that's going to shape who gets that 8th position.
At this stage, I really like the Cats, but they've got big games this week, haven't they? St Kilda and Port Adelaide before the week's out. You mentioned the Eagles off the top and how they got on top of Carlton yesterday. And they did it as they so often do, Lordo. They used their big man to take the clunks and then kick the goals when they needed them. Yeah,
you must play 4 quarters against the West Coast Eagles. And well done to Carlton. It was really good, nice and early. You know, they got to 19 points up. But unfortunately, the midfield just overpowered them. We'll get to some key decisions that were made very, very shortly. But yeah, you've got to play the whole journey against them. They've got a good mix of powerful players at the top. They've got a great midfield, a good young group of players coming through, and you just see Doherty and those guys run the siege late in the game.
They're powerful forward line. Is it the key in this season as it's unfolding? They have been in trouble in certain games, but it's been the big man to get them out of that trouble when they've needed to.
Yeah, and they've got obviously great smalls at their feet. Cripps has been an underrated player for a long, long time. Oscar Allen, centre-half, back centre-half forward. Very hard to stop. You
touched on the confusion. It was a theme throughout the game. It was a theme post-match. David Teague, the Carlton coach, unawares of what was being done with some holding the ball decisions.
Look, our players are seeking a fair bit of clarity around it at the moment. It's a hard one. I think any time you change an interpretation throughout the season, it's quite hard as much for the umpires to adjudicate, and whether the umpires felt that was right or wrong, that call, I don't know, because they're going to make mistakes as well. So it's hard for us as coaches and players to understand which one was an error and which one wasn't. So to get a pattern going forward.
It's post-match there, David Teague. I'm really sympathetic to the umpires, Lordo, with what they've been forced to endure this year, that they are not able to train as a group like a lot of clubs. But the messaging is clearly not coming down through the ranks, and David Teague is just one voice of many in the game. Let's take a look, a forensic look at some of... Now, these are some of the incidents that we were talking about yesterday. This is Duggan being tackled here by Fisher, and this was not holding the ball. This next one here is Sam Petrevski-Seton being tackled by Darling. That was holding the ball. We move on, and we just have a look at that one again before we do, because that was arguably the most contentious one of the day. Paddy Cripps takes the ball in the centre of the ground. Nick Naitanui tackles him, and he is deemed to be holding the ball. Nick Naitanui is in the next frame here, this time with the ball, being tackled by De Koning, not holding the ball. We'll just keep rolling here. Sam Petrevski-Seton for the second time, tackled here by Cripps, deemed to be holding the ball. And one more before we just get your thoughts on this. Casbolt here now tackling Duggan, and that was not holding the ball. So, again, some of those decisions are right, some are wrong. We'll just have a look at them again as I get your thoughts on what should have been paid there, what shouldn't have been paid there. And are we in semi-crisis with this?
We are, because I really hope why we wanted to show this one was what's the difference between that which wasn't paid, to this next one in Petrevski-Seton, which was paid. This is the harshest holding the ball I've seen for the year, and that just sent social media and people in the football industry into meltdown, saying what a disgraceful decision on Petrevski. The umpire says here your fend off there was your prior, so okay, we'll say we'll give you that. We'll give you that one.
Some of these decisions are right, by the way.
Yep, we'll give you.
But we don't know, do we?
This one, how did he get rid of it? So then, the big moment, 19 points in it. How did Naitanui get rid of that ball? Petrevski-Seton, they said you step back. You had your prior.
He did, though. He did.
But then,
But you paid every time.
That's the lack of consistency. And this one's hot, so I'd ball it up. So I'd say, yeah, that's fine. So I think the Petrevski-Seton one, they have to come out today, the AFL, and say, we got that horribly wrong.
So that one we replayed?
Yeah,
that's
the one we replayed. Have to say we got that horribly wrong. I hope they say the Naitanui one was wrong as well. And what I heard Steve Hocking say about a week or 2 weeks ago, says players are so good at adjusting.
Yep.
But there's never been so much confusion, and you can't adjust to that. David Teague was very nice there. He didn't want to speak out of school too much, but I reckon he would have loved to have gone to town, but he's not the type to do it. So never seen more confused coaching group and playing group on a rule like it is at the moment.
Yep. And again, not the reason they lost the game of footy in my eyes, what it's worth, but there was some issues with it. The Demons, second win in a row. Now, it needs to be factored in that this one yesterday came against North Melbourne, which I think is in as bad a shape as the team the Melbourne team beat the week before, that being Adelaide. But they ground out the first half and then ran away with it. It was 57 points in the end. It could have been 100 points even with these shortened quarters.
Yeah, you look at the score. North are up by 9 points, and then they just did not fire a shot after that. But full credit to Melbourne. No Jack Viney, no Max Gawn, captain out, vice captain out, and then they just destroyed the Roos after that. And what I like, Damo, is they're introducing some good quality kids. It's top enders, and Luke Jackson in the ruck. And they did a number on North.
Lordo, this man here, we're seeing a lot already, Petrarca. Yeah. Is he saying to his teammates, come with me, I'm prepared to go to the wall on this? Do you sense that with how he's playing his footy?
Yeah, it's sort of, if Lachie Neale wasn't playing, we are watching a Brownlow medalist.
Really?
So that's the season that Christian Petrarca is having. He can't do any more. It's just those around him. Which it's interesting, Angus Brayshaw had his best game with Viney not in the team, so it's about getting that midfield mix right, who's in and who's out. But they've beaten two poor sides the last 2 weeks, so they've got bigger fish to fry. And if they want to challenge for the finals, they've got to beat Collingwood in the next week or so.
Yeah, they do. Cozzy Pickett's a good story, isn't he? He's obviously an incredibly talented player. And look, this goal we're about to see here, you not many players could do this. Not many players would attempt it. You can't teach it, and yet that's all he wanted to do and did it easily.
Yeah, it's why they took him when they took him. I think it was a surprise. Cozzy Pickett's going to go pick 9. Melbourne said, we need a small forward, and they identified this is the man we've got to take.
This field kicking, have a look at this kick here. Now, the mark's spilled. It is a greasy ball, but it doesn't get much better for a forward than that kick.
We're just scratching, we're just finding the tip of the iceberg with what this boy can do. He's just going to get fitter. He's tough already. He's got poise. His link up between, the marking the ball about 70 out and hitting guys lace out, that's as pure as you get.
Where's he play eventually?
I reckon he pinch hit midfield, but I'd leave him where he is.
Yeah. Rhys Shaw's now having a troubled season. 8 losses now in the past 9 games. And he did speak post-match and use the words unacceptable and not good enough. And it's simply not now. His personal scoreline is 10 wins, 13 losses in the 23 matches he's had at that football club. But the frustrations are now very real, Lordo, and 12 months on, more than 12 months on from that club making that decision, they are less now certain of where they are as a club. And I think they're every bit as big a mess as Adelaide Football Club.
Yeah, and you've been on to this for a long time, Damo, on North Melbourne. And even when Rhys was winning games last year, you were speaking about Rhys Shaw. They've lost competitiveness, and that's what was their benchmark, competitiveness. But what is their identity as a football club, do you think?
You can't find
well, once they've lost that, I can't name one at the moment.
No, and the rebuild that they're clearly about to go through, it should have happened in 2016 when they made the tough calls on Harvey and Ferrito and Del Santo and Petrie, and then didn't take the lessons out of that and tried to just prop up being lulled into a false sense of security as to where they were. But they're in trouble now, and they've got a few barren years ahead of them. Let's take a look with Nathan Brown, now Sportsbet, at what the Premiership market has done after the recent matches.
Yeah, thanks, Barrett. Well, it's all about the West Coast Eagles at the top of the Premiership market. They've been the favourite for around a month now. Interestingly, the Tigers still second favourite, even though they lost to Port Adelaide, who are just outside that. Punters at the moment shying away from the Brisbane Lions with their forward line issues, and the value still lies in the Cats and the Saints. If there is going to be an outlier to win this one, punters thinking that is the market. Now, the Coleman medal, it's down to 2. JK, 17 goals in 4 weeks is the favourite, but the man who looks the value is Big Charlie Dixon. If he can kick straight, he can get on a roll and maybe pip Josh Kennedy. And the Brownlow medal, it is Lachie Neale's to lose through injury. He cannot be beaten, he cannot be headed. He is playing too good a football. 3 votes again on the weekend. Petrarca would have voted, Boak would have voted, but it's all about Lachie Neale. A lot of kicks, a lot of handballs, and he's also kicking goals. Good luck if you're punting on any of this, and gamble responsibly.
And that sports bet update there from the third best Nathan Brown to play AFL football. Lordo, you just put on the table Petrarca's Brownlow credentials. I'm going to up you here. Travis Boak, I think he should be in the conversation more than he actually is already. I mean, he was crucial again for the Power against the Tigers.
Having an unbelievable season, Travis Boak. He's just been phenomenal, and that man with him, Ollie Wines. So Boak on the weekend, 31 disposals, Wines 28, and they did it against a pretty strong midfield with Dusty Martin and all them, but they just destroyed Martin. You know, obviously Stack, Bolton. Bolton was a good player for them, but just so tough. And we talk about the young players at Port Adelaide, but they're no good unless you've got good top-end players with them, and that's what Wines, but more so Boak have been. And just on Boak, they've got good mates at Essendon who go to America at the end of the year just to work on their bodies and all that sort of thing. Travis Boak was the first one to do it. You see how his body shape has changed? Yeah. He looked gone a few years ago.
Yeah, he did.
And now he's just become... He'll be a third-time All-Australian this year, so it's been
almost guaranteed to be, isn't he?
Guaranteed, yeah.
And quite possibly a third-time best and fairest winner at the Power. The Dogs, Lord, it hasn't worked out well for them in recent weeks. They lost to the Lions. Their losses come in heavy fashion. It's a damning statistic when you see that the average losing margin when they do lose a game of footy is by 6 goals plus.
That says to me they've got a very soft underbelly, the Western Bulldogs, and no team wants that to be said about them. But when you look at that, before the weekend they had the highest losing average margin of any team, and that's even more so than the Adelaide Crows. When they lose bad. So that's saying that they turn their toes up when things aren't going well at the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, OK. Yeah. A couple of items to look at. A small man and a big man who we've been talking up on this program this year. But Caleb Daniel, you wanted to highlight here, Lordo. The game's still in the offing here, and he does something he didn't like. Yeah,
first of all, I'm on their midfield. Jared Lyons kicked the ball. He won that clearance. He's worked that hard. Who gets the ball next? Jared Lyons has got it again. So that's the soft underbelly. Are the Bulldogs willing to do that? We see Daniel having a crack at teammates there.
So who is Caleb Daniel having a crack at?
He's having a go at Lipinski for not being strong enough over the ball and fumbling, but he is on Zach Bailey there at the top of the square. Is Caleb Daniel still thinking, OK, I've got a man to stop here? No, he's thinking about winning another possession. And he's a good player, Daniel. But think about who your opponent is. He wants to have a crack at the player that fumbled. But still, you've got a man to try and beat. So that's probably a lot of the problems that the Dogs have got. First of all, are their midfield working hard enough? Yeah. They didn't work as hard as Lions there, and you've still got defenders trying to play like they're winning by 10 goals, which they weren't at the time. So just shows why they were beaten by a better side and a more disciplined side in Brisbane on the weekend. You've
got issues with their back line. You've been vocal about that. Their forward line is just not functioning either. Now, there's been excuses with Aaron Norton's absence, but he was back on the weekend. It'll take him some time. But Josh Bruce, again, we've talked him up this year. He kicked 6 goals in one particular game, but only 6 in all of the other 10 combined.
Just an unbelievable stat is 10 matches for 6 goals, and he kicked 6 against the Roos. So he's been a big disappointment. When I saw them get Alex Keith and I saw them get Josh Bruce, I thought, geez, they don't lack for much here at the Western Bulldogs, but Bruce has struggled being the main man at the Western Bulldogs. He's probably missed being surrounded by Tim Membry and guys like that, which he had at St Kilda.
Lordo, the Giants' season was very, very much in the balance at half-time of their game against Essendon. They were trailing badly. They were lethargic. Stephen Coniglio, the new captain, has apparently delivered one of the speeches of the ages. The former captain of the footy club, Callan Ward, spoke about that speech after the game.
I actually spoke to Stephen after the game and I said, mate, that's the most impressive speech I've heard from anybody, but especially from him. It was just, you know, he speaks extremely well to the playing group and staff and the whole football club, but the way he spoke at half-time was to a new level. He was really passionate and he raised his voice and he was really hard on his players, and he said pretty much we're playing soft football, we're playing selfish football, we need to step up, and the way he said it was just, for me, extremely inspiring.
Soft and selfish football. It doesn't get much stronger than that. And when you're speaking to your team at half-time, and I thought they went back to basics. I think they've been too cute with the footy, chipping the ball around. It got a bit of rain. They just started getting the ball forward, and it allowed for... Who else has got Cameron, Himmelberg and Finlayson in their front third? No one has.
And they threw Davis up there as well.
Davis up there as well, but they don't play that way. They don't get it in.
Have a look what Himmelberg does here, Lord. This is elite talent. I know he sometimes criticised this man, but to hold his form, hold his ground, and then pick the ball up and then deliver it to the exact spot where Cameron wants it.
Yeah, they're so talented. And I just thought the toughness of Timmy Taranto, Steve Caniglio, the run of Whitfield, it was a brilliant win, devastating for the Bombers, but that was a season-defining moment. I still think they're off the top three we spoke about off the top of the show, but they're fighting and scrapping pretty hard, and still Toby Green and Matty De Boer to come back.
And we'll use that theme here to talk about the next team. It's not a theme we often used with the Saints this year, St Kilda. Really ground out a nice win, a good win against the Gold Coast Suns. And when I say fighting and scrapping, we know they can do the nice stuff and the flary stuff, but they needed to fight and scrap to get this one over the line.
And they'll have to do it tonight too. It's amazing to see that they play another game tonight against the Geelong Footy Club, but I just hope this keeps rolling. I've tipped Geelong tonight because I just think Geelong are just such a seasoned team. But I might have egg on my face like many others because a lot feel like when's it going to end for St Kilda. But what Brett Ratton said he learnt from that Fremantle loss is we don't have to play pretty all the time.
Right.
We can scrounge and scrap with the best of them. And they can win different ways. They've got. I love their backs now with Howard. Howard's reminding me of Harris Andrews. They've got a midfield with Marshall and Ryder. Jack Steele's in All-Australian form, and now a forward line which is star-studded. They don't lack for much at all.
Yeah. We're seeing the emergence this year in this weird season of some lesser lights. Now, the name Dacos is not a lesser light Collingwood name, but it is when it comes to Josh. And he ultimately was the match winner on the weekend. We'll have a look at the goal he kicked late, but he'd already played among the best of field game to that point.
Yeah, 25 disposals. He's sort of played as more of a defensive forward, but he's got that much skill that you just let him go at times. And
Take us through this play. Right?
This one, Robbie Fox just got caught ball watching. You've got to watch the hips when you're trying to tackle a player like Dacos. And that, as I said, you can't teach that. He's been doing that since he learnt to walk with his father, Peter. Phenomenal.
If he had taken that shot of goal and missed, would he be in trouble, the way the game works? Should he have sent it to Callum Brown, who was there?
Yeah, I suppose I didn't.
I'm glad he didn't.
I actually just got gravitated to what he was doing, so I didn't look. But, yeah, I think you do get blasted if you miss. It was like Ackermanis. If you kick it, good luck to you. If you miss, we'll be giving you a spray.
Now, they took a while to kick the goals they needed to win that game at the Pies. You can see the scoreline here, 2 goals, 10, and there's a young fan in the crowd, Lotto, just offering some advice.
Nathan Buckley might have wanted him in the coach's box alongside him, saying, what's going on with our kicking? Look at that, 2 goals, 10, 22, you're killing us.
Now, Lockie Ash is a good young giant. He might need to fix up his rugby union style of throws, Lotto, to teammates who need the free kick.
Oh, yeah, what's he thinking? I thought, it's just not their night tonight. When Lockie Ash did this and he could not even get the ball back to Hopper when they wanted to go inside 50 quickly, I thought they were gone.
That speech turned him around. Yeah. Hey, thanks as always for your time on Access All Areas, and we'll be back next Monday with another Access All Areas.